Many of us are in the world of product management. And typically what we do is that the product management collects the why and the what. We are collecting requirements, which includes functional requirements, non-functional requirements. Then we write the product requirements document. We go through multiple lines of iterations. We collect feedback from core user groups, do the interviews, and so on and so forth. And this can typically take us a long time before we're even able to sort of start a engineering prototype. Imagine a new world in which the product manager is not just doing the why and the what, but they can also prototype a scrappy and frugal solution using standard available tools like V0, Langflow, Replit, N8, and so many other tools that are existing in the marketplace, so that they have the ability to shift the product development cycle to the right. Imagine a world in which product managers have that superpower where not just they are relying on the engineering team to build the prototype, but they can actually demonstrate the art of the possible of what a prototype will look like and how that would sort of jumpstart the innovation engine in an organization. So typically what happens is we as product managers, several of you are on this call who are product managers, we are stuck in strategy. We are trying to figure out what is the customer problem that we're trying to understand? Why is this even needed? We always have to be mindful of the fact that, hey, engineering resources are scarce. They're grappling with keeping the lights on, building products that have been approved several quarters ago. And what this translates to is the vision gets lost as we are trying to sort of take a concept and we are trying to sort of build a prototype. And what happens is that in this day and age, where innovation and speed is the core IP, core intellectual property that every organization is trying to strive for, there is a slowdown, there is more inertia, and because of that, products take a much, much, much longer time to see light at the end of the day. So enter the world of technology, enter the world of product management, vibe coding. What is vibe coding? I define vibe coding as lightweight, low code, no code prototyping tool that is powered by the generative AI engines that exist around us. What does it do? You can tell them, who are you? What are you trying to build? What are some of the guardrails that need to be kept in mind? What are the UI, UX standards that need to be mindful of so that the vibe code can develop a prototype instead of taking months, it can actually be done in days. So how is this advantageous for PMs like all of us on this call? You can build a tangible product. You are accelerating the product development cycle. You are not relying on one of your core bottlenecks from a resource standpoint, which is the engineering teams, but you are actually able to demonstrate what is the art of the possible as you are thinking in terms of building a product, building a prototype, and how that would be meaningful. So basically, you are squeezing or squishing 6 months, 9 months of work, perhaps into a couple of weeks, and you are accelerating and you're jumpstarting the power of the art of the possible, and you're sharing it with your engineering teams, with your customer success teams, with your marketing teams. Just imagine how much of an accelerant it would be for an organization. And what this does is it shows the power of technology. It doesn't rely on sound bites. It relies on generative AI or the product in action that is underpinned by synthetic data with low code or no code. And as they say, a demonstration is worth a million words. That puts a concept into action, and that sort of lets the light bulbs go on. So if there is a CFO out here, if there is a chief technology officer out here, if there is a CIO out here, all of you should keep in mind that vibe coding takes a concept which is very abstract, very nebulous, and puts together a scrappy and frugal solution and gives the power to the product manager so that they can demonstrate the art of the possible to the rest of the organization. So what are some of the steps of this process? And I have been sort of thinking about this both from a practitioner standpoint as well as a philosophy standpoint as well. I mentioned to you previously that as product managers, we deal with the why and the what. And that's what you see in the first two blocks. What are we trying to build? How do we sort of frame that approach? What are the data sets? What are the workflows? What are some of the functional and the non-functional requirements? And then we are actually able to build a prototype. That is where the super PM comes into play. They take the scope, they take the approach, and they're able to sort of build a prototype. As the prototype is built, they sort of share it with the rest of the organization in step number 4 to evangelize their idea, to get their ideas, to get their feedback. So basically, you're shifting to the right, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation. After step number 4, you are able to sort of refine the PRD because the vibe coded prototype that has been developed becomes the initial starting point for your prototype for your PRD so that you can start iterating on it. Once the PRD, the product requirements document, is refined, then you sort of start relying on your engineering teams to build that out of the possible, to really underpin it with data, with core technology stack in terms of what the app layer, what the web layer, what the DB layer will look like, so that the engineers can actually start putting that concept into some form of a reality. And you go through this process in an iterative fashion, whether the prototype needs to be sort of revised based on the approach that you had initially thought of, or as you are sort of building and validating, if you need to refine the product requirements document, there are multiple loops of refinement that come into play so that the core IP out here is speed and velocity without sacrificing any of the traditional product management tasks that product managers have done so long. So what is the big picture? Google and other technology companies are already asking their product managers to vibe code prototypes. And that is a must-have for any product manager that is about to sort of seek opportunities in those technology companies. And what happens is that as part of the system design deliverable, it is a way to prompt to a prototype. In fact, when I talk to recruits, or if I'm actually thinking in terms of who are the team members that need to be sort of part of my team, I'm thinking not just in somebody who can put together a Word document or a PDF file, but most importantly, can somebody take a concept and put it together, show it to me, and we can sort of make a quick decision whether it's a go, no go, or we need to sort of refine it. So what is the fact? What is the deep truth behind all of this? This is not a zero-sum game. The success of the product manager does not come at the expense of the success of the engineering teams. The engineering teams will always be there. The PMs are not replacing the engineers. What the PMs are doing is that they're complementing the skill sets of the engineers by building a prototype so that a lot of the vagueness, a lot of the items that get lost in translation, they can actually be viewed in action. And that sort of makes the yin and the yang with the product manager and the engineering team working in tandem. And I implore all of the product leaders on this call to think in terms of how we can make this a reality, what are some of the gotchas to keep in mind, and how we can sort of make this a force multiplier in this day and age. Thank you.
Excellent, Sid. Thank you so much for that. And we know that you have on the side, folks, if you want to connect with Sid, he has built his own products through vibe coding, and he has some great examples. So reach out, and please, Sid, if you could post, if you haven't done so in the Google Doc, if you could post your contact information. We do have a few questions for you. One of those that's getting a lot of discussion in the chat here is, do you think vibe coding stops at prototypes, or do you think it will connect to production tool chains in engineering too? Will any of the code reach prod?
That's a great question. As I have sort of worked with some of the vibe coding engines behind the scene, they actually have the ability to sort of deploy those products, scale those products, have load balancing capabilities, and essentially make it industrial grade code as well. So that's a great question. I've not done that yet. I've sort of paused, or I'm at a stage where I've sort of put together the prototype, and I work for an organization where we have engineering resources, but that's a great point. I understand that the current stack, vibe code stack, they have the ability to deploy codes that is production grade as well, but I've not tried it or tested it yet.
Mm. Another great question here is, how could this redefine voice of customer, user feedback, and work from design UX teams?
Another great question. I actually put together a prototype, and what it helped me actually do was, I always ask, when I do a customer empathy session, I ask, hey, what are their fears and anxieties? What keeps them awake in the night? What are their hopes and aspirations? What vibe coding does is that it takes those questions, it helps you build a prototype to which customers can react much faster. So the nebulous vagueness of things getting lost in translation, you are actually able to prototype something scrappy and frugal in short order and run it by the customer and just get a thumbs up or a thumbs down or some feedback. So what I've typically seen is that it's an accelerant as they're working with customers to understand them, to realize what they're seeking, and build those capabilities much faster without sort of waiting for weeks or months, so that the rapid iterations, the agility with which you can move forward, that typically sort of speeds up your product development cycle, and that leads to product-led growth.
And this will be our last question, and this is getting a lot of discussion as well. Many of us have seen those memes about waterfall methodologies coming back. So do you anticipate a shift from agile framework to a process resembling waterfall, since time to prototype is now so much faster with Vibe agentic coding, and product is shifting into a
That's
dev-like
another
run?
great question. I have my own personal biases, but at the end of the day, for me, nothing succeeds like success. And the best way to sort of build a product is to sort of get it out, let people react to it, and see what kind of process metrics and outcome metrics that you have in place. If vibe coding sort of gets a product built faster, better, and in a cost-effective way, in my opinion, that's the sort of way to go forward. So it might be a hybrid model. You have some agility as you're building it. In fact, I'll share with you. This was code set. So I was sort of trying to sort of do the vibe coding, and you can see there were about 10 different iterations of prompting that I had to go through to get to the right output. So this was all done based on rapid feedback. So in my opinion, there will be an element of agile thinking. There will be an element of waterfall methodology. And then at the end, also, there might be a methodology where sort of agile comes into play. So we have to sort of be very creative in terms of how we approach this. But at the end of the day, we need to be in a position to sort of get the feedback, incorporate the feedback, and sort of be very nimble so that we can build the right products.